the solar system, planet Earth, North America, the United States of America. My name is Brian Engelman, and if you're here because you normally check out our Agree to Disagree show, where we discuss the current events in the world, this is not one of those shows. So if you would kindly see yourself out, go ahead. I would understand. I would prefer if you stay because I'm going to do a sports show. It may not be your cup of tea, but it is for me. So I have the Unhappy Hour Sports Show. And then, of course, I have the Agree to Disagree show. Follow us on all of the places for all of the things. We don't always just cover my favorite teams. However, there is an episode of what we do here that is called Strictly Browns, where we discuss the Cleveland Browns. This is we're going to talk about Deshaun Watson. Did he just play his best game as a Cleveland Brown? Perhaps, maybe. We're talking about Myles Garrett and his dominant performance. Everything that's going on is just clicking on all cylinders. Myles Garrett, looking like a man possessed out there in a good way. So, of course, the Cleveland Browns did what they needed to do. And what is that? I think, unfortunately, you saw Coach Ryan Day with the Ohio State Buckeyes. It came down to literally the final play, like a 1-yard touchdown run off to the left. No time remaining. That was like the one play. We're going to try to get a couple of inches and score a touchdown, and it's over. And the Buckeyes narrowly avoided a bit of a disaster, a calamity. It would have been difficult. It's a tough game. Anytime you're playing another top 10 team as a top 10 team, that is challenging. Playing it in Notre Dame in a hostile environment, that is challenging, especially with a first-year quarterback. But Ryan Day afterwards, the Buckeyes got the win. And Ryan Day said it's Ohio versus the world. And that's something that has taken off over the past 10 years, but maybe it's always felt that way. It is Ohio against the world. And when we're looking at the Cleveland Browns, it's Cleveland versus the referees too. Let's not forget, this has been a snake-bitten franchise since our return in 1999, I believe. It seems like the referees have it in for us. There was a play that is one of the most ridiculous things I've ever seen. It was a pass to Amari Cooper that he clearly caught. Nice throw, nice catch. He took off running and then stopped and turned around, and the defender stopped and turned around. Then he just kept running and went for a touchdown. It's a clear touchdown. They said that the referee blew his whistle too quickly. Why is the referee blowing the whistle anyway? He's ruling that he stepped out of bounds. Why not review that? Why would you call that if you're not 100% certain? Even if you are 100% certain, why? I've never seen anything like it. I saw Deshaun Watson last week get two roughing, personal foul? Were they personal fouls? For face masking other opponents. Meanwhile, he got his face mask grabbed and spun 180 degrees off to the side. No penalty flag there. Now, I guess any franchise could probably say, oh, the refs screwed us. It's not even direct competition. There's too much Vegas influence. The referees, it's an entertainment league. It's not even direct competition, gambling. So it kind of skirts legalities. I don't know how I feel about that. I feel like when these gaming apps are gaining traction across the country, I mean, you want to talk about real RICO investigations? If they're fixing the games, This is a massive money laundering operation. This is Rico. This is real Rico. You've seen Rico in the news. This ain't Rico Suave. Are there any other famous Rico? Uncle Rico? That was one too. Who are any other famous Ricos? Rico Suave. Rico. I got nothing. Nothing else, I don't think. But there are a lot of people chattering about the leagues being rigged. And leave your comments, by the way. Leave your hearts. Tap the likes, the hearts. I don't know if you're watching us on Twitter or on YouTube, what have you. But thank you for being here. But if you can leave your comments, I will try to incorporate some of them into the show. I don't know. Sometimes I can see them and sometimes I cannot, but I will try. But yeah, I get the distinct feeling that the NFL owners have not been very happy with the Cleveland Browns. First off, they feel, they are the elite. They are the deep state. They are the 1%. They are the New World Order. They are the 1%, the owners, the top of the food chain in the sports world, and they feel as though they're better than you. And you know what? If they want to take their team to another city, that's their prerogative, not yours. And I think Green Bay gets this right. Green Bay, the city of Green Bay owns the team. Let me see if I can get you. The Packers have been a publicly owned nonprofit corporation since August 18, 1923. Oh, that's 100 years. Just been 100 years. Okay. The corporation currently has approximately 537,460 stockholders who collectively own approximately 5,200,000 shares of stock following the sixth stock sale in 2021. So instead of having an owner or a small group of owners, they are owned by thousands of fans, 360,000 shareholders to be exact. Now, I think every city should be publicly owned. This is I don't know. I may depart from my libertarian leanings. Very, let's just say, leery, suspicious, if you will, of centralized planning, of big government, of that type of thing. But I think in sports, the city should own the team. I really do. I think Green Bay Packers get it right. These are public-private partnerships to redevelop areas of a downtown cityscape, and you bring in all the tourism, all of the Uber and Lyft, the restaurants, the groceries, the bars, the hotels, the airlines, the merchandise, shopping. Then you have the extra couple days if you come out and do a couple days and go to a new. It's a great attraction for the city. And so the Cleveland Browns were taken away by Art Modell in 1996, taken over to Baltimore because Indianapolis stole Baltimore's team, so they had to steal ours. It sucks. It's the worst. Injuries are the worst part of sports. A very close second is the fact that ownership can steal your favorite team away. It's terrible. But Cleveland did something different when the city was taken, and I think the NFL, they've never really gotten over it. They look down their nose. They are the powerful with their cigars and their backlit room, their dimly lit rooms in the back, plotting, stroking goatees. I don't think the owners were thrilled because the Browns went to court and said, "You don't have a right to take our team. We own the team name. We have a right to the colors and the team and the history. If you want to take these players in this organization, I guess you're going to take them, but you're leaving your team colors." And so the Ravens became a brand new franchise. Sometimes that happens, sometimes that doesn't. The Raiders are still the Raiders, but the Houston Oilers are the Tennessee Titans. And then Houston gets another team, but they don't go back to the Oilers. They say they're the Texans. I don't know. The Cleveland Ohioans doesn't really sound right to me. If I'm missing some particular component of the Texans' history that I'm supposed to be aware of, which I'm not, fill me in the comments. But it seemed that the league was annoyed that Cleveland took a little bit too much power from their private little group and that they've had it in for us ever since. And they said, fine, well, and that was the other thing. It was like, we want to keep our team name and our colors, and we want an expansion team. We want our team back. How dare you? Why didn't you just give Baltimore an expansion team? What are you doing? They didn't like being called out, and they didn't like losing. They did not appreciate that they lost. Well, they lost that battle. And so the Cleveland Browns were rebirthed a few years later. And it just seems like the refereeing has been exponentially worse against Cleveland ever since. Like, this is an ancient grudge that carries on to this day, and we don't even particularly know why. However, the grudge remains. And so there's a thought that the Cleveland Browns kind of have this snake-bitten reboot, and that the league will never let us succeed. Well, I don't buy into that stuff per se. I mean, I do to a certain degree, but I don't think it's insurmountable. What I do think is that we're going to have to win every game by at least 22 points. Maybe my math's off. Let's say if we go 8 points with a 2-point conversion. So 3 touchdowns. Let me just, what am I? 8, 16, 24. 3 touchdowns and 3 2-point conversions. We're going to have to win every game by 25 points. That's it. I'm not taking chances. Do the math here. 27-3, the Cleveland Browns won. It was a little too close for me. Little too close. But this game was never really in doubt. This game was something special. You held the opposing quarterback to 104 yards. 104 yards. No touchdowns, no interceptions, 13-25. You held Derrick Henry, one of the best backs in the NFL, 20 yards on 11 carries. This defense was something impressive. Something real impressive. The most valuable player of the game is the Cleveland Browns defense. They have shown up now 2 out of the 3 games. And in the middle game, half the points that got put on the board was the offense fumbling the ball away, which is something Deshaun Watson almost did, by the way. I don't know what that behind the back pass was supposed to be, but it was very ill-advised. Now, if we flip it over, this was a pass-heavy Browns performance. They gave 5 carries to Kareem Hunt for 13 yards, average of 2.6, not something you write home about. Jerome Ford did even worse. 10 carries for only 18 yards. That's a 1.8 yard average, but he did get a touchdown. Pierre Strong Jr. had the highest average of 4.5 yards. That was 6 carries for 27 yards. Pierre Strong Jr. coming over from the New England Patriots. We traded Wheatley, an offensive lineman. So it's not like the ground game was doing that well. And that is a cause of concern for the Cleveland Browns with Nick Chubb. It was pretty obvious that was going to be one of the strengths of the team to lean on. Obviously, we went out and signed Deshaun Watson to a mega deal with mega expectations. But it was a Nick Chubb ground and pound. I mean, Nick Chubb has the 3rd highest yards per carry since he got in the league, or I forget exactly what the stat is, but he's among the greats to ever play the game. So we went from maybe a run first team, and they gave Elijah Moore 3 carries. They gave Marquise Goodwin a carry. I am curious about the Harrison Bryant stuff. Why is he the short yardage guy? And if he's the short yardage QB sneak guy, doesn't that really give it away when you're going to do the QB sneak? I suppose if you're going to do the QB sneak and then you show people what it is, they're going to see it. They're going to call it out. They're going to say it's a sneak, sneak, sneak. But you've actually called the mirror image play where it doesn't touch his hand at all and you misdirect it somewhere else. Like, I get that there's chess and then there's counter chess. But I'm curious if anyone could help me understand the Harrison Bryant getting 2 carries. Deshaun Watson had 4 carries for 16 yards. So it really turned into a carry by committee situation. Spears only had 4 carries for 6 yards for Tennessee yesterday. They only had 2 running backs touch the ball. We had 2, 4, 6, 7 people running the ball for the Cleveland Browns. But this really was a game about consistency. The Browns in the first period put up 3 points. Then in the second period, they put up 10 points. Then 7, total of 27. Over the course of a game, that adds up. Deshaun Watson played his best game in the Cleveland Browns uniform. I'm going to give him credit. I guess I probably can't give him credit for the Amari Cooper touchdown, because half of it was weird when they blew the whistle and then the defender stopped. So I don't know that would have been a sideline completion. Would it have gone for a touchdown? I don't know that I could quite give him a third touchdown. I want to give him the edge on that, but just say he was 28 of 33. That would have probably put him over 300 yards, 2 touchdowns in the air. A rating of 123.4. That's double the rating of Ryan Tannehill's 62.8. More than double. Almost double. Exactly double? Almost exactly double. But yeah, Deshaun Watson made it happen. Deshaun Watson is looking like the back that we paid all this money for, the quarterback that we've needed. I'm okay with that. I'm okay with finally seeing some improvement out of this guy. It's been 2 years. I know last year he came in rusty, but did he? Like, how did you not have the playbook all off season? I know you couldn't practice with the team, but why didn't you have you're telling me with your 230 million, you didn't have a trainer that was going through the playbook and you were just spending 8 hours a day figuring things out and just doing something? Maybe he was just sitting around playing video games. I don't know. But when he came in last year, he did not look impressive. A lot of shoestring, short arming it. Then this year, a lot of it kind of airmailing it, throwing a lot of these sideline passes, 8 yards out of bounds. Like you're not even remotely giving your guy a shot. First game of the year with inclement weather conditions against the Bengals. Yes, you let a few sail over Marquise. Goodwin. But I finally saw efficient quarterback play. The third down conversions. This was improvement, and we need it. But this really is the floor of what we should accept for Deshaun Watson. He was paid like the top dog. He's got to play like top 3, top 4. I really don't even want to say top 5. He was paid the best. People are enamored with his skill set. Multi-Pro Bowl player. Good. Well, look, we're not going to be able to be that running game. Be that running team like we used to without Nick Chubb. You don't lose perhaps the best in the NFL and just expect to seamlessly put somebody else in and have the same incredible results. We're going to try. We're going to do the best that we can. I am concerned about our left tackle position. I am worried that Deshaun Watson's going to get blindsided because Jedrick Wills is just not quite consistent enough to handle that side. I'm curious to see how everybody grades out. When do the gradings come out? What's up, Justin? How are you, sir? I don't know. Can I invite you into this? I guess probably not because I'm doing a restream. But if you can, Justin, type any comments or questions. What questions do you have? What impressed you about the game? What concerns do you have about the Browns moving forward? Two-part question. What impressed you? And what are you most concerned with? What up, Sal? How are you, sir? Congratulations, Sal. I saw you in a cap and gown, by the way. I don't know what that was, but it looks like you achieved something. Bravo. Amari Cooper, they fed the ball to him. 7 receptions, 116 yards. He is the number one on this team. Got his 1 touchdown, could have been 2. But, I mean, they spread the ball around. 9 targets for Elijah Moore. He had 9 receptions. 9 for 9. He was kind of a security blanket. Kareem Hunt had 2 catches on 3 targets. And Njoku, 4 targets, 4 receptions. It was a very efficient day. DPJ, Donovan Peoples-Jones, 3 receptions on 4 targets. Jerome Ford, 2 receptions on 3 targets and a touchdown. The ball moved around. And that's what you're going to need. You can't always play a football game like it's like you're a 5th grader playing Madden. You know, before you know the playbooks better, a lot of it's like, I'm just going to chuck it up. I'm going to run back 10 yards. I'm just going to launch it on a Hail Mary and hopefully I catch a 70-yard bomb. That's not like great football strategy. Kind of need to do the Tom Brady thing. You take what's given. And if they're taking certain components away, you go with what's left, your best opportunity. And you're going to have to air it up, but you're going to have to go deep because you got to keep the defense honest. If you don't show them different things, the defense is just going to hone in on one area for you. And so I liked that Coach Stefanski, I think he called a good game, a really good game. We've given him a lot of credit. I'm sorry, a lot of grief. What's the opposite of credit? Debit? We've given Coach Stefanski, I call him by his proper name, only when I'm happy with his choices. Otherwise, he's Kev. But I liked that you had some reverses. I said that the whole game with the Steelers. They were pinning their ears back and just blitzing us. They were going bonkers because they weren't worried about getting put out of position on a play that went behind them. That's exactly what you do with bubble screens. It's exactly what you do, slip screens, any sort of screen that's kind of like behind the line of scrimmage where you can over pursue and you're like, yes, I got the quarterback. And you go, oh, crap, there's a reason I got completely through. It's because the blockers are behind me. And there goes the screen pass. And now there they go down the sidelines 45 yards for a touchdown because I over pursued. That's how you catch them sleeping. That's how you keep them honest. A lot of an offensive line's success will depend on the ability of the quarterback to make a quick, smart decision and get the damn ball out of their hands. I did not see Deshaun Watson doing that automatically or instinctively. I still saw him holding the ball too long. I still saw him, kind of running around back there. He took 3 sacks for 26 yards. But just the quickness of getting the ball moving. Take the 3-yard gain, get it out of your hand. Don't take the sack. So the offensive line situation is always a little, I don't know. They kind of get too much credit and get too much blame. I think the same happens with the quarterback too. I think when you saw different versions of our former quarterback, Baker Mayfield, but there were times that he was very comfortable in the system. I'd probably say like that half season with Freddie Kitchens when they were just letting it rip. He just seemed quick and comfortable and he knew where to go, almost like with the Rams. You get the general idea of how you're going to run it. You're just like, guys, here's the basic patterns. Here's what we're doing. Let's go. I'm going to find you. We're going to keep going. And you just go fast. You instinctively jump to a read or two, and you keep it moving. Deshaun Watson, he'll pause. Then he'll start doing this backyard thing, the Patrick Mahomes thing. And look, it came in handy a couple of times where he was able to dance out of a couple of potential sacks. Yes, he's elusive. I just worry about my quarterback doing the ball for too long. And I just it's the injury. It's the injury factor. I just get it out. Get the ball out. If you got to hold it an extra second because you need the play to develop and you're going downfield and you got a decent pass protection on that play, okay. But I do see Watson like just not quite there with the timing. His 2 touchdown passes, yes, he connected on them. They were wide open. So I mean, they weren't incredible plays of precision. He just found the wide open person and got them the ball. That's how you get 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. That one play where he was going down and he chucked it backward like 20 yards, 10 yards or whatever it was to, I think it was Elijah Moore. That's dangerous. That's decision making. Not every Please don't try to be a hero on every play. It's the fumbles. It's the interceptions. It's the self-inflicted situations. Was it Elijah Moore dropped the ball and lost it? Donovan Peoples-Jones fumbled the ball and recovered it. And Deshaun Watson fumbled it. I'm checking out the fumbles. Yeah, look, we have to play smart and we got to play damn near perfect. This Browns defense it appears to be enough to win a Super Bowl, that we're on par with as good a defense as you'll see. Still just a small sample size, but 2 of those 3 games were pretty impressive. And we took down Joey Burrow. That wasn't Ryan Tannehill. Yes, he was injured. It's the NFL. Most of the people playing are injured to some degree. How good is this defense? I loved the play. There was the one where Myles Garrett, because he plays basketball and he's kind of like doing a crossover dribble. He's changing the defensive line position to almost where he can be the middle linebacker, kind of the orchestra leader of the defensive line. There was a play yesterday where he was on the end of the line, and the Titans had 2 guys. Maybe it was a tight end, and I don't know who the other position was, or if they went. 2 people came over to his side. So then he went to the other side of the defensive line, past the 2 tackles. Now he was on the other side. These 2, they're mirroring Myles Garrett. They have to play him so aggressively because he's so dominant. By the way, if you're typing comments, I can't see them. I wish I could. I got to find a better way to get the comments coming in because I love your interaction here. That movement on the line delayed the situation long enough to where the Tennessee Titans had to take a delay of game. They could not get the play off in time because they couldn't get set because they were mirroring Myles Garrett. Jim Schwartz has unlocked something fantastic on this team. And, I do have a criticism of Coach Stefanski. I'll call him Coach. He has been who he is since he's joined the Cleveland Browns organization. Was it 4 years ago now? I don't think he's often referred to as the vocal guy, the charismatic guy, the chest pumping, yelling, energy guy. He's just going to kind of give you what he gives you. He brings that even keel, even tempered steady consistency. But man, hang on, let me take this call. Let's see if I can work Justin into the show this way. How are you, Justin?
What's up, Brian?
I'm doing good, man. I have you live on Restream here. We're broadcasting on, I don't know, 8 different channels at once. Did you have any takeaways from the Browns game?
Yeah, I tried to type them in there, but you mentioned you couldn't see them, so I thought I'd give this a try. But the thing I was most impressed, I think, from the game was our defense. The pass rush was lethal, but the difference between Sunday and previous years, or honestly the first 3 games of the season from last year, is we're not just relying on our pass rush. Our secondary looks good. Our defensive backs look good. Our safeties look good. It's like a well-balanced attack. Jim Schwartz is doing an amazing job. You know how much of the Achilles heel our secondary has been in the past few years? I mean, do I have to remind us how bad it was? And they've been all over the ball, swarming the ball. It's been a delight to see.
A delight to see. And that's the point I was just getting to. You were saying swarming the ball. I was just explaining how Coach Stefanski has a very even keel, straightforward, not a lot of fire and brimstone coming out of him, not a lot of passion. You see that from the Cleveland defense. What I'm not seeing from the Cleveland offense is I'm not seeing their offensive linemen continue the block an extra half second. I'm seeing a lot of standing around. They're completing a play, but they're not giving their energy, their emotion. Now playing too emotional can get you in trouble. I'm not advocating that. But it just seems like they're swarming with energy on the defensive side, but they're kind of standing around lacking energy on the offensive side. Have you seen what I've seen there?
Definitely a little bit, yeah. I would agree with that. You know, Willis is struggling. Even the offensive line for the Steelers game. You know, I like Jones. You know, obviously he's got a lot to learn, but just the attack and the game plan for TJ Watt. You know, they weren't double teaming him, and then when they did double team, the other side was wide open on the pass rush for the Steelers. So I would definitely agree with that take. Yes, sluggish, slow. You know, definitely.
Yeah,
Brian, one thing I liked I saw too was we got the ball more to Njoku. You know, we worked him more in the offense. I think he's a great tight end. We don't give him the ball enough. We don't target him enough. Especially in the goal line. Remember some of those touchdowns last year in the goal line, in the red zone. I mean, he's lethal. I mean, he's an attack, a target we need to go to more, in my opinion. Third and short, goal line opportunities.
Yeah, I mean, look, Elijah Moore had double the targets yesterday, and Njoku had 4. Elijah Moore had 9. Cooper had 8. So, I mean, that's where the ball is going, and then another 4 to Peoples-Jones. He's moving it around. This is, I guess.
That's what to me would get Cooper, get him more open. When we just go to Cooper, it's one-dimensional. That's what happened against Pittsburgh, in my opinion.
Yeah, there was definitely some of that. It's almost like when you kind of realized Tennessee was going to start feeding it to DeAndre Hopkins. That was a result of maybe being down by 13-3 at the half. Hey, speaking of the half, how great was that we were able to get that sack, and they were out of timeouts. They couldn't even kick that field goal. Like, it totally changed the momentum at the end of the first half too.
Yeah, it was beautiful. And Garrett just looked unstoppable. I mean, he was amazing. Getting the other, to me, he's a tone setter. He gets the other guys going as well.
Yeah, Garrett, we've never seen this version of him unlocked before. How much of this is addition by subtraction, just getting rid of Joe Woods, versus Jim Schwartz bringing something special to the table?
It's night and day. I mean, Joe Woods. Oh, I do not miss hearing that name. I'm not going to lie to you. I did not miss seeing his name over all these comment threads on the Unhappy Hour and all these Brown pages. I do not miss him. I miss him like I miss the measles.
It was just a situation where when you'd watch the defense, they under Joe Woods for what was he? How long was he here? 3 years? Too long. Yeah, too long. I feel like we could have made the playoffs with competent defense the past 2 years, even with us being an 8-9 team, really not being unhealthy, being injured. I guess unhealthy and injured are close to the same thing, but they just never seemed to really understand the scheme. They just didn't really get the system. So they were kind of stuck with paralysis through analysis. Now it just seems like these guys are playing. They look like they're having so much fun. I've never seen a defense like this.
Hey, you remember that strong safety that was just terrible? And I'm using polite words here. Was it Sendejo, that strong safety that we had a few years back? That, I mean,
yes,
just came off the JV squad for Brunswick High School. I mean, you ever him? Was it Andrew Sendejo?
Yes, Sendejo.
Those days are long gone. We got Grant Delpit. I mean, these guys are playing. These guys are balling out. Was it 6 points average per game? The Steelers game that pissed me off the most was our offense gave up more points than our defense, Brian.
I know. And
the reason why we should have lost that game.
It's absurd what happened. And if we don't harm ourselves, we're a 3-0 team right now. But look,
exactly.
That's part of the growing process and the maturity process. I would like to look at the stat line and the results of yesterday's game and say, look, Deshaun Watson has turned it around. He's on point, but it's like he also tried to chuck it 15 yards behind the line of scrimmage. It would have been a backward pass. Like he could have easily turned the ball over in a really boneheaded move in a game that was in complete control. But we've seen how many of these games, Justin, over the years, we're in complete control until one turnover turns into 7 points, and then the floodgates open, and it's just downhill from there. It almost happened again. Now, maybe I'm being a little too critical, but, I mean, you saw that play, right? That was pretty boneheaded. That was not a good decision. But would you also say this is the best Deshaun Watson has looked? I think one of your posts was, that we're quick to criticize, but where's the love or something like that? Or someone was saying that, and I saw you chime in on it. But I think this was Deshaun Watson's best game as a Brown. I think he has tons of room to keep even improving on what we saw yesterday. But this is the best we've seen him in our jersey so far.
Yeah, it's like an analogy of basketball or even in baseball. You get that bunt to get you out of a slump. You hit that first shot or that first free throw as a shooter, to boost that confidence. Hopefully, this is what Deshaun Watson needed to gain that confidence, to boost that confidence, where he starts feeling comfortable in the pocket. He starts finding rhythm. He starts finding that comfort aspect with his receiving core. And Ford, another comment I put there that you probably couldn't see, Ford is, he looks good. He has that ability to catch the ball out of the backfield that is so coveted with a running back in today's game. He looks good. And to compliment Hunt, you hate for Chubb to go down, obviously. But to me, a Ford Hunt backfield is not looking like a bad plan B, in my opinion.
Yeah, and they didn't get a lot of yards on the ground yesterday. I did cover that in the early part of the show. But they look like players. That's the same Kareem Hunt you see. He's going to give you everything he has on every play. It's going to be rumbling, bumbling, stumbling. Jumping. Oh, how good was it to see Kareem Hunt jump over somebody again? But yeah, Ford has hands. He did very well with the Cincinnati Bearcats, with Desmond Ridder when that whole team was doing something special. He is a player, and we have Hunt back there in the mix, and even Pierre Strong. Pierre Strong was getting a couple of touches. We traded for him, like right toward the end of camp. We said no, we don't need extra depth at offensive tackle, we need an extra running back. They like that kid too.
Yeah, I have to run, Brian, but what happened to Dearness Johnson?
He went down to Jacksonville. He may be a free agent right now, actually.
I never thought he got a fair shake. I thought he was really good running back, and we just didn't have room for him, really.
Dearness Johnson was incredible when we needed him to fill in. Remember, he had that big primetime game, right?
Yeah.
He broke on the scene and crushed it. But okay, you got to run. Any final thoughts? Any concerns? Who gets your game ball? Any final thought on your way out the door?
Concerns would be like most offensive line, addressing that. Game ball to me would go to Jim Schwartz for the masterpiece he's done. I know it's small sample size. The first 3 weeks, getting this defensive going. We're not just relying on our pass rush anymore. We've got guys that are making plays. Our secondary, Emerson and Delpit and Ward, the Warden, just making plays. And it's great. I love our kicking, position we're in. He played great yesterday. Made some big kicks. That's always good to have a reliable kicker. And I don't know. I like the direction we're heading. The bounce back to me is what's great.
Yes.
Losing Chubb, demoralizing loss. Could have been a tailspin out of control. But give it to Stefanski. He called a great game. He got them focused in on Tennessee, and we're sitting at top of the AFC North, a tough division right now.
Yeah, and you're so right about that kicking position. Dustin, Cleveland Hopkins Airport is really turned it into something where you can just relax and expect it to go through the uprights. I'm happy with it. And yeah, huge game coming up next week against the Ravens at 1:00 on CBS. Man, that's going to be for control of this division. So let's bring our A game next week, man. Thank you for calling in. Appreciate you, Justin.
So let's feast on that rapper this week.
What's that?
Let's feast on that rapper this week.
Yes, let's do that. Rat birds for dinner. Absolutely. Rat birds for dinner. That was cool. Yeah, I need to find a way to get you guys to call in. Like Sal needs to call in. But yeah, look, I'm just super excited about where this team is at. We have seen so much progress out of Deshaun Watson. Thankfully, I don't want to be right. I was right about everything I had to say. Okay, I mean, that's a pretty ridiculous thing to say, of course. But I believed in this guy, Baker freaking Mayfield. And I still do. I said we could have won a Super Bowl with him. I still believe that. But I don't want Deshaun Watson to suck just because I didn't want us to sell the farm to pay the king's ransom to get a guy who was under, we should have been able to get someone like Deshaun Watson at a bit of a discount, given all of the accusations and the era we live in with the Me Too, the guilty, presumed guilty. It's not innocent unless proven guilty. It's the opposite these days. I just felt like we paid too much. We didn't need to bail on Baker so soon. Then when Watson came out playing like crap, I believe this. If we would have just stuck with Jacoby Brissett last year, we would have made the playoffs. Now, obviously, maybe our ceiling with Jacoby Brissett is going to be lower than it is with Deshaun Watson, which is why you pay the premium. But the game we saw yesterday was what I hope is the basement for Deshaun Watson. This is the new standard. 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. Somewhere around 300 yards passing. No turnovers. He almost had a 3rd touchdown, but he almost had a turnover. This is what you need to expect at a bare minimum out of Deshaun Watson. But when Deshaun Watson came out the first couple games this year, what was I saying? I'm ready to see our backup quarterback. If this is all we're getting out of Deshaun Watson, and we just lost Nick Chubb, and we're seeing that anybody's replaceable, expendable, and at the same time nobody is, put Dorian Thompson-Robinson in. Let's see what the kid can do. Maybe he has a better grasp of our playbook. Isn't it possible? It is. He's a UCLA kid. Those are smart kids at UCLA. I used to live out there. I know. But that's what I was starting to say. This defense is elite. It's not good. It's elite. You can say Joe Burrow and the Bengals were banged up, and I could remind you that they went to 2 straight AFC championship games, right? They went to the Super Bowl. Same receivers, same running backs, same quarterback. Okay, well, it was in the rain. Fine, I just hate excuses. The Steelers game was just a bit of a weird anomaly with all the damn turnovers. We did it to ourselves, but the defense isn't the reason we lost that game. Yesterday, you could say, oh, Derrick Henry's getting older, or Ryan Tannehill's not much of a quarterback, or the Titans aren't that good, and their secondary's trash. Okay, excuses. But did we do what needed to be done? Yes. Did we accomplish the task? Yes. But I was really starting to become concerned that our quarterback, Deshaun Watson, might never get it back. He might never be good again. I didn't believe that. I didn't want to believe that. I was accurately describing what I was watching in his entire body of work through this season and through last season collectively, and I'm giving you my opinion on it. That wasn't me projecting. I hope that the Browns quarterback position is really bad. Why would I hope for that? But if it is, I'm going to call it out. I might mention and bring up the fact that, hey, look at the kid down in Tampa Bay. Compare the stats side by side. It's not even close. Baker's beating the brakes off of him. But it's a young season. I mean, hey, aren't Baker's boys, aren't they 2-0? I think they're playing huge test tonight with the Eagles. But I don't know. I liked that he gave everything he had when he was in Cleveland. He rubbed some of you guys the wrong way. I don't get it. Oh, his commercials were too funny. Yeah, they were great. But I'm still pulling for him in his career. Sometimes I root for players, sometimes I root for always Indians, Cavs, Browns, and Buckeyes. Those are the teams. But yeah, especially fantasy football. You draft players, you're in dynasty leagues. You're like, I'm gonna keep this guy on my roster forever. I'm gonna invest in this guy. I'm investing a roster spot. And it's just silly fantasy football, but to me, it's fun. I enjoy it. But I was not rooting for Watson to be trash. We paid him like a top 3. He's better. He needs to play like a top 5. No top 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, top 5. He's supposed to be. That's why we went out and did what we did. But my goodness, that defense really, I'm so impressed with our kicking game solidifying. Still with Donovan Peoples-Jones returning the ball and that muffed punt, I don't like it. I don't think he's the answer back there. He's got a case of the yips or something. Once you get that, you can't unget that. Put somebody back. Somebody's got to be able to do that. Why don't you bring that guy back on your roster, the one that caught all the passes in preseason? Who was that wide receiver? Did we sign him on the practice squad? He's the brother of somebody. What was the name of that guy? Let me see where he's at. See if it comes up. Pair of touchdowns. Austin Watkins Jr. Where is he at? Did he get claimed 3 weeks ago? It still says on Wikipedia that he is 25 years old, born in 98. This one's from 3 weeks ago. Just trying to see where he is. Okay, so he did clear waivers, and the team did bring him back as a member of the practice squad. Guys, is it okay to maybe ask for Austin Watkins to come back just to catch the punts, to be a punt specialist? Is he capable of such things? I don't know. Is it worth a shot? I mean, maybe. Maybe. So that's an area of concern. I'm also curious if we have all this cap room, we have all this extra space. Is there any other offensive lineman that we can sign to kind of reshuffle what we got? Is Jedrick Wills just a lost cause? Can he protect our quarter billion dollar player? That's number one. And it's just consistently not seeing it there. That is a dangerous position to have a flat tire. So I got some concerns, but hey, game balls for the defense, game ball to Deshaun Watson. Amari Cooper, give him credit for that second one. Just great performance. We're used to seeing the Browns take a lead. We kind of dominate, but we don't get it done. Like even the Steelers, we had way more yards. It was just the penalties, the turnovers, the pick six, the stupidity of a couple of plays doomed the whole game. So, yeah, coming up next, it's going to be the Browns against the Ratbirds, as Justin said. Let's go ahead and look across the league here in the NFL. Of course, as it loads. Of course, the Miami Dolphins, they are quite a difference maker. Tua, Tyreek, man, and Devin. How do you say Arcane? I always say his name wrong. AFC East is the Bills at 2-1, Dolphins at 3-0. AFC North, it's a bit of a it's weird to see the Bengals 0-2 there playing tonight. But the Steelers, Ravens, Browns 2-1, 2-1, 2-1. Oh, that would have been huge if we could have been 3-0, 2-1, 1-2. That would have been just a huge shuffler. But hey, let's be grateful that the Colts knocked off the Ravens in overtime. Colts are sitting at the top of the AFC South, by the way. If you're new to the program here, Jacksonville got upended. They're 1-2. Titans are 1-2. Houston Texans are 1-2. But hey, CJ Stroud's playing good down there. You know, he's setting records for most yards in 3 games and no turnovers, and they think they got a real one there. So I'm pulling for him, just like I'm pulling for Justin Fields. I just hate the Ohio State quarterbacks can't play in the NFL crap. It's like, come on. I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I think the Bears need to be rebuilt. I think there's something wrong on that team. But we'll get to them in a second. Kansas City. Look, they had that early loss. That's a nice one. They're sitting there 2-1. Rest of that division. Raiders 1-2, Chargers 1-2, Broncos 0-3. So I mean, even if we just go by wild card right now, the Browns are in a good spot. I still want to win the division. I want home field advantage. Eagles are playing a big one tonight. They're 2-0 in their conference, but they're taking on the division leading Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who are also 2-0. So they're going to clash. I hope that's a fun game. I'd love to see Baker win that game. I like Jalen Hurts. I drafted him in a league, and he's a difference maker. Cowboys are sitting at 2-1. Commanders are 2-1. Giants are dinged up and at 1-2. Packers are 2-1. Lions are 2-1. But the Vikings and the Bears are both 0-3. Really starting to separate that division. That's Ugh, to start off with an offer. As I mentioned, Tampa Bay is 2-0 at the top of their division. The Falcons are 2-1. The Saints are 2-1. The Panthers are 0-3. Niners are 3-0. They'll be coming to Cleveland after we get our bye week. So not this weekend, that's the Ravens, not the one after because that's a bye. But following that will be the 49ers at home. They are 3-0, leading their division. Seahawks are 2-1. Rams are 1-1. Cardinals are 1-2. That's the state of the NFL. But man, does Victory Monday feel good or what? I'm such a fan of what's happening right now. So here we are. Go Browns. Thank you for watching. Strictly Browns here on the Unhappy Hour Sports Show, a support group. So we will come back next week. And yeah, we're gonna put this together as a podcast as well. I just gotta kind of set it up, upload the files. Maybe I'll do a data dump and upload a couple of files. I've batched a few of them. It's just extra steps to get everything uploaded. But look, if we want to do this the right way, these are the things that have to happen until we have the full team in place. So anyway, if you're interested out there, we have these available. These are the Unhappy Hour Sports Show pins. There will only be 100 of these ever given out. And then there are also coasters. Oh, they're not given out. They are a donation. And then these are coasters. They're sets of 4. The Unhappy Hour. These are wooden. They are laser etched and burned. So some of them are circle and some of them are shaped like the state of Ohio. There's 4 per set. If you're interested, send me a message. Let me know. I got to dig out my prices and get these all figured out. I really need to just reprioritize doing sports content. I've been focused almost solely on trying to figure out what's happening as our world implodes, daily pondering the fall of the Roman Empire. So it's really taken a little bit more of my attention than I prefer. I like to, in theory, we're supposed to have our bread and circus if we're talking about the Roman Empire. Give them bread and circuses. Yeah, sports is just, something we drink and we gamble and we fill our heads with insignificant things. Play the fiddle while Rome burns. But I like the dichotomy. I don't want to always be doom and gloom and covering world events that are just head shakingly what? So sports is, as Mike Polk Jr. says in his Factory of Sadness video, and you were supposed to be my pleasant distraction from those things. He says, now look, I know that sports aren't really that important in the grand scheme of things, but you're supposed to be my pleasant distraction from those things. And no truer words have been spoken, but I really have been prioritizing trying to save our country and save, um, uh, a way of life that is quickly slipping through our fingertips. Humanity is on the verge here. And I just haven't had the energy to spend too much of my soul of my life on sports, bread, and circuses. Now, in the Unhappy Hour Sports Show, a support group on Facebook, it's a private group. Follow us. We talk sports every day. Every day. Every day. And it's not just Indians, Cavs, Browns, Buckeyes. It's all things sports all the time. It's a great group. Almost 2,000 people. Keep it private. It's great. We cover every damn thing. It's my favorite group. Find us there. Find us on Twitter. We're at @TheUnhappyHour_. And I think youtube.com/TheUnhappyHour. So we're streaming there. And then I want to also post the videos after the fact. But yeah, link up with us in all the places, because we're gonna keep talking sports. I think it's fun. I think there are a million life lessons that we learn from sports. If you've played, you probably know what I mean. If you've coached, if you've, I've done a little bit of, I've tried to do almost everything that I can that seems interesting. Coaching some kids, or putting together an intramural basketball team, or playing for the varsity team, or just walking on to play some tennis and doing pretty well at that. I love practice, repetition, perfecting a craft, and just finding ways to level up and improve, and the mental part of it and the physicality. I love it. I love it. You know, a well-lived life, in my opinion, has a bit of a wide variety of experiences. And I think the sports world, even if we're only living vicariously through the storylines on TV, or on our smartphones rather, it's there's a lot that we can glean. You know, sports is supposed to be the meritocracy that America, claims to be, but it's been really a fascist country for a long time, blending government and um, finances, blending government and politics. And in a true capitalistic situation, it's just kind of like the better ideas rise to the top, and the better products people spend money on, and inferior things will dwindle and leave. And just kind of like there's the invisible hand of capitalism. But too many times you're pressing the scales of justice to get things on the wrong perspective. Um, in sports, in its purest sense. Now, I don't mean when Minka Fitzpatrick takes a dirty, cheap shot hit at Nick Chubb's knee to blow it out. By the way, I did hear good news on Nick Chubb. I heard, and this is preliminary. They still haven't done the surgery, but they said so far it looks like there's only MCL, medial collateral ligament damage, and that the rest of his knee does look good. They won't know for certain until they go in and start scoping and doing the operation to get him back on his feet again. But the early concerns of perhaps that could be the end of Nick Chubb's career. Uh, Maybe that's not a strong concern at the moment based on the preliminary good information that we've received. There was a lot of hedging my bets there, but I heard a good piece of news. I want to pass it along. Our continued prayers are with him. But yeah, I mean, when the referees are right in front of Deshaun Watson's face mask against the Steelers getting spun the whole opposite direction, and they don't call that, it kind of seems like the refs are not being, they're not doing their job. They're not living up to their role as a neutral arbiter. It's some of the ticky tack pass interference calls. Those are probably the easiest ways to, you know, push your fingers on the scale of justice to tilt the outcome to what Vegas wants you to do, you know. But the moral of sports is supposed to be that you all get together and you get to compete, and the best among you get to compete on an even playing field, and let's give it a shot. Put your best foot forward. Let's go win the game. Life is a game. It's a video game. So play it smart. Don't just play the game smart. Don't take too many unnecessary risks. And these are life lessons that help kids grow and figure out how to navigate the world. And so there's multiple reasons why I love sports. The strategy, the physicality, the greater zeitgeist forming ethos of, if you want better results, you need to work harder. You need to work smarter. You need to play better. You need to hold yourself accountable. That's that. If you want to be better, you gotta put more into it. And in general, that's a theory that does span across genres. It doesn't really need to stay in the sports realm. It is something that really transcends. So anyway, once again, that's why I love sports. So follow the Unhappy Hour in all the places. This has been a presentation of Strictly Browns on the on the Unhappy Hour, part of the New American Media, TNAM, because the news always matters. The New American Media, because the old American media has failed you. So find us in all of the places, and we'll continue to talk sports as well as our regularly scheduled program, usually Tuesday and Thursday at 3 p.m. Eastern time here on the Restream app. We go onto YouTube we don't stream on Rumble. We post on Rumble after. We go to X. We don't to Truth Social yet. We're on Odyssey. I gotta get that going. That's been down a couple days. Telegram, Instagram. Follow us, the Unhappy Hour. All the places. All right. That's all I got for today's show. I appreciate you. I love you. And we'll talk to you again soon. Take care. Peace.